Kristin, I do want to call out something, like a fun fact about you, right? Because this is the first time, when I first kind of went to a conference with you, it was the first time I heard about it. You were the 2021 SourceCon Grandmaster Challenge winner.
Yes.
Congrats. I didn't even know what sourcing meant or was. I just knew about recruiting.
Yes.
Tell our audience a little bit about this inner workings of sourcing, and what it's all about.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't, kind of think about it as two separate funnels, right? So Shark recruiters, and I'm a full stack recruiter. I'm a sourcer and a recruiter. But recruiting is essentially the full process, right? Get the resume, talk to the candidate, set up the interview, get the offer out, all of it. Sourcing is essentially the act of passively finding people for the job that are not necessarily looking, right? So it's about looking in places where resumes don't live. So GitHub or social profiles or online articles and blogs, conference attendee lists. I mean, kind of just really going off of what are the different ways that I can go about finding someone and finding their contact information. So that is kind of the art of sourcing.
Do you have like a little insider trick or a creative, unconventional way you've gone after a candidate before?
There's a lot. There's so many different ways, but I love all the SourceCon. It feels like I'm hacking, right? But I remember one time I did find, it was a deep search on these specific type of software engineers. So I think I had found someone's article that led me to their GitHub repository, but it was all private. But I do know a trick where I can look at the code and find their email address. And so I did that. It was a dead email address. But anyway, more research. Basically, I found their website and they had a contact me form on their website. That's how much this guy did not want to be contacted. And so I messaged him through that, told him exactly what I did. And then a couple days later, I did get a response back that said, I don't usually reply to recruiters because I'm not looking, but I had to applaud your effort, And so, again, even though I didn't get a submittal or a placement out of that, I made a connection, right, for the future that, he's not going to forget me. So that's the art of sourcing, I think, is in building those long-term pipelines.
You're like the Sherlock Holmes of...
Yes, it was a global competition, I will say, of all the best sourcers in the world. So I was pretty happy to win.
Yeah, I bet. It's so cool. Well, looking towards the future, right? And it's so hard to predict, right? Obviously, the crystal ball here. But Ben, in the next 3 to 5 years, what would you say are some of the future of IT services and trends?
I would say still, we are early on the path of AI. And we are talking about that as a discussion point. And I think that will continue to expand and grow. I think, I mentioned earlier too, the legacy support's another thing, but I think there's a risk reward of making everything so IT and not so personalized. We're in the people business. And so people make all this stuff work. 3 to 5 years, I hope that there's still a lot of people left in the business to continue to have rapport with and build. I just don't lose the focus of what the business is there for. That's what I would think about.
I'm reminded of something I saw on Instagram the other day. They were actually talking about the future of marketing. And while there's all this AI to help with content creation and all that, they actually also saw a rise of experiential marketing, where pop-ups where people can try food, or even if it's a gadget, a pop-up at a neighborhood where they can play with the gadget and touch things and interact with things. So while there's this whole rise of AI, there's also this rise of in-person kind of events.
Yeah, that's what I feel is in the industry is people are craving that one-to-one, that connection. I think there's so much technology out there, it's starting to get very distracting.
Yeah. So I think social media is a really good point there. There's so many people behind their screen.
Yes.
Right? And it's just there's online bullying, there's all this kind of stuff that, it's just not good for society, really. And so I think that the interaction,
it's coming
creating
back.
platforms to have human interaction is great. for sure.
One of my clients did a Tech and Tacos event just to meet candidates.
Yes.
And then just,
I love it.
Chat over tacos, right? Yeah. John, from your perspective, right, as we look out into the future, and then as you reflect back over the last 25 years, right, what's been the toughest leadership lesson that you had to face?
That's a tough question because it's a toss-up. Trying to provide really good benefits to our employees and also managing remote work. Healthcare cost is so expensive, so costly to the company and very expensive to the employees. It's hard to provide that satisfaction between both sides. And then managing remote work, when you're trying to manage teams that are not physically together, it takes a whole nother level of communication and trust.
Yeah, for sure. But I see sometimes on social media, you guys do a lot of get-togethers and team events, right? Yeah, so doubling down on that still.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always do that. We do that for our consultants as well. So, I mean, we always are doing team events, happy hours. If they're not here, we'll send them gift cards to go out to eat, on us, things like that. So we for our consultant culture as well, I feel like we do a great job of being inclusive, and keeping everybody happy.
Conversation over shared food.
Yes.
That always works.
Always works.
For sure. Well, Kristin, for someone out there in our audience that's been going through rounds of interviews or not hearing anything from or feedback from recruiters or employers, what would be your kind of top 3 pieces of advice for candidates right now navigating this market?
So I think that number 1, most important, is be intentional. So know your why. So I talk to so many people that I've submitted 257 applications. Oh my gosh, please stop right now. That is only going to lead to frustration, and there is no way you are a fit for those 257 jobs. So what I want you to do instead is apply to 10 jobs that are extremely targeted, and take the time and do the research. Think about what is your passion. Maybe go after that company. What's your why behind that? And then really dig in, look at the person that works there, that's in the job you want. Reach out to them. But again, get clear on the why. That's important. So be intentional. Number 2, I think, yes, use AI because systems are using it, but please proofread. So use AI, but proofread, right? I have also toyed with it as well and seen what it can do. And I've seen it completely fabricate entire paragraphs so that it can match a job description. I've seen it assume certain technologies were used, just because. And again, that's going to lead to some embarrassment later. So please proofread what you're putting out there. Make sure it still sounds like you. And then lastly, I think be creative. Think of some outside the box ways that you can be different. I have a story. This is not conventional, but I think it's a great way to kind of, again, think outside the box. This product manager, she'd been struggling for a while, probably about a year, to really get interviews, find a role, just get a response back. She was very interested in this role at Home Depot, but, kept applying, just wasn't getting anywhere. So when you work for a company like that, there is an employer portal that's different than the external. So she said, you know what, I'm going to go get a job at the garden center because I love that. So why not? And then guess what? Now I can apply internally through their employer portal. So she did that. And I mean, within, a week, got a call from HR like, what are you doing in the garden center? So again, it's just people are falling through cracks. I mean, there's technology gaps. So if you really want something, go for it. I think that's what it says. Is that a common thing? No, it's not. But I tend to follow things that are uncommon. So just think of ways you can be different and stand out. I think
why
that's
not?
Key. Yes.
Right? Like,
why not?
So creative, nothing to lose.
Exactly.
For sure. John, the name of this podcast is Tech Legacies, right? What do you want your legacy to be?
I like my legacy to be that I treat people the right way, not just in the big moments, but in the everyday ones. And that, if you go with that principle, the legacy will take care of itself.
For sure. Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah, do what you're going to say. Be all in. Don't just try it. If you're going to do something, do it all the way or don't do it. Because you can always look back and say, I gave it my all. Right. There's good songs about that. And then I would say I want people to remember that I was always judicious and fair and treated them well and communicated well to them. You know, just be yourself. You know, support other people. You know, that's what I would encourage people to be.
For sure. Kristin?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate all of that. So I think, again, it's just, you know, I'm a continual learner. I'm always looking for ways that I can improve or learn something new. So I think, again, just that, and then, you know, that I did what I said I was going to do, you know, that I was always authentic, and that if I did something, I was going to do it 100%. You know, there's no halfway. So I think that's what I'd like to leave behind. And I think that's what Odyssey essentially is about. That's what all three of us have said. And, you know, that should really kind of hit home that that's what we believe in, and that's what we show, you know, through our work.
I'm so thankful for the partnership that we have. Like, every time I interact with you guys, there's such a warmth about your team, and I love that. And yes, you're all a tech consulting firm and, you know, tech recruiting, so there's obviously a huge tech component, but you guys never forgot about the human side of it and that trust and loyalty and team. So I'm grateful and honored that you guys are our Tech Legacies podcast sponsors. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's just, it lines up with our mission at Tech Legacies to highlight the humans behind the tech. And so thank you for sharing all your stories, all your anecdotes and tips and advice today. Really appreciate it. Kristin, Jon, Ben.